Okay. So I'm going to do this in English. So I hope that's okay. So first of all, thanks for Felix and Juan for inviting me here to the Things Network Sevilla. I'm actually on holiday in this region in Spain, so I spent the last week in Sevilla. Very nice town. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm here with my two small daughters and my wife. So, and of course I couldn't resist to drop by to see what's happening. My name is Wienke Giezeman. I'm the co-founder of the Things Network. I'm going to tell a bit of a story around how we started this in Amsterdam and how it's now growing around, across the world, and how it's becoming more mature and more professional, and also how all this innovation is resulting in all kinds of use cases and business models and ways to make it sustainable. So, yeah, I think Juan told a lot about the technology. It's very good overview. What I wanted to say here is that maybe you know the Gartner hype curve. And what it basically does, it describes how a technology goes through an hype, and then through the trough of disillusionment, and then there is through some increased efficiency, and there is a slope of entitlement, and then it becomes like a standard and a technology that we just see as around us. So LoRaWAN, for sure, when it started off in 2015, as Juan said, it was a big hype, and it was a big problem. So it's an open spectrum, it's open technology, anybody can use it, and it gives this idea of these endless possibilities. And I feel we're past the hype. And now all of a sudden, Juan also told about the constraints, like the limited amount of data you can send in urban areas. The penetrations might not be that great. So you go through this huge struggle of making all these overpromises true, and then people are going to back off, and then you're going through like a little depression until it comes up again. And then the thing for LoRaWAN, after now 3.5 years, we've been at the bottom, and you see a lot of interesting ideas pop up. But after 3 years, it's more interesting what ideas are going to stick around. So what ideas are actually really going to generate business value and really surface out of all these different crazy ideas. This is what Juan already told. I think I can skip this completely. The long range. This is maybe you've seen this. We've put a sensor in a weather balloon, and if you put a sensor in a weather balloon, then of course you have a very good line of sight, but even beyond the horizon as we see it on the ground. And actually we measured sending a LoRaWAN message, and we reached 702 kilometers. So it's just past, we lit it up in the Netherlands, just past the German border, and it was like received on some kind of gateway in Poland, which is pretty cool. So the technology is really strong. So how did it start? So we saw this technology, LoRaWAN, what it can do, all the capabilities. And it was around 2015 in the spring, and I just finished my previous business. I was a media company. I sold it to a Dutch publisher, and we ran across this LoRaWAN technology, and we had the idea that if this reaches around 10 kilometers or even 2 or 3 in urban areas, you only need a few gateways in Amsterdam to cover the entire city. So together with my co-founder Johan Stocking and tech lead of the Things Network, we thought, okay, just let's see where we can put up 10 gateways and make a little IoT network there. And this is all very abstract technology. And I think the interesting ideas that Felix also came with, it only really starts to address a larger audience when you come with examples. Now, who has been in Amsterdam here in the crowd? Somebody? has been few. So you know there's a lot of canals, so a lot of water. So we thought, okay, let's make a use case that's really close to the people of Amsterdam. And basically, you can put your boat for free, for very little money, in the canals. And usually what happens is this, because half of the year it rains in Amsterdam. So if you don't cover your boat well, or there's little leakage, then it fills up with water. And if it's a rainy season, you don't check your boat every week. So then, if you wait long enough, the boat will end up at the bottom of the canal. So we thought of like, let's make a little sensor that sends a little message when actually water is filling your boat. And then the user or the owner of that boat could receive that message. And we even partnered with a service that you could then send a text message to that would actually fill the water, like remove the water from your boat. So you get something that addresses to the minds of people in Amsterdam. So we had that story of a use case, and we thought, okay, let's go with this story and see where we can find companies that want to innovate and maybe want to buy a gateway, put it on the roof of their building, and then go on, build this network together. We went through a meetup, very similar like this, the IoT meetup in Amsterdam. We said, okay, our mission is to build a decentralized, open and crowdsourced Internet of Things data network, owned and operated by its users. We found eventually 10 companies in Amsterdam. We set up gateways in 6 weeks. We did a big launch event, and we opened up that platform, the Things Network.org, the whole idea and the whole concept of the world, by open sourcing the software, opening up all the content, and opening up the platform that runs this service where people could add their gateways and build a network. So after 6 months it was around this. So we got a lot of response from that project in Amsterdam. People wanted to join the Things Network. After 12 months it was around like this. 18 months. This is actually an old slide I see now from 2018, but actually in 3 years we grew from like 10 gateways in Amsterdam to now 7,000 gateways and 70,000 active users on the platform. That are all experimenting with the technology and building all kinds of use cases, but also a lot of companies are actually building industrial use cases, enterprise use cases, and building business cases on top of this. So one of the examples that really shows how you can make money with such a technology. This is a smart mousetrap. So anywhere in Europe or any Western continent, if you place mousetraps, you have to also check the mousetraps. So for instance, in the school, if you set mousetraps or rat traps, you have to check if there's actually a mouse in the mousetrap. So then you have to hire people to check these mousetraps. If you have a LoRaWAN mousetrap, then you actually get the signal that if there's a mouse in a mousetrap, so you only have to go to the mousetraps that actually have a mouse in them. So you can have a huge efficiency increase there because you don't have to send people to every mousetrap to check on them. So first, this is higher quality, so better hygiene, and second of all, there's a huge efficiency. So this is just one example of how a business case could make a way more expensive mousetrap viable and actually like have an efficiency improvement there for the business. This is also very interesting. If you look at agriculture, the knowledge and the data that farmers have about the moisture of their soil, about the quality of their grounds, that is actually way lower than you would expect. This goes in a very analog, very almost emotional, non-data driven way, which probably if you're in this room is hard to imagine, but it's still there. So this is Vinduino. It's actually open source hardware that you can help to measure the soil moisture in your vineyard and optimize your irrigation. So first of all, this could be used to to make sure that you don't spend too much water or too little, so that you have an inefficiency in your yield. So this is for agriculture, for instance. Wildlife tracking, this is a project that's going on in Africa, tracking wildlife like elephants and anti-poaching kind of stuff. This is a very cool project from Slovenia, and they're created a product that's tracking green sea turtles for researchers. And this has a scientific business case, but the funny thing is this company, this integrator, got into this business, and now maritime companies, so companies from the maritime industry, with usually, like, they have a lot of money, they came to them and said, if you can track a sea turtle, then probably you can do a lot of business for us as well. So this is, I think, a really cool example where you just follow something that's interesting or cool or challenging, and all of a sudden it lands you into a market, in a maritime market where you've never been in before. We have a lot of customers that use food monitoring, so monitoring fridges and the so-called cold chain, monitoring the temperature of food across a value and supply chain. This is an interesting use case in logistics. It's tracking sea containers. One of our customers, Deutsche Bahn, the German railway organization, we're going to install in the next 5 year LoRaWAN network on every railway station, and they are going to make sure that the new clocks that they're going to install are going to be synced. So we created this public community network now with more than 7,000 gateways across the world. This is all running from 10 different data centers, running the network server, and then delivering the application data to all the applications as a public instance. And then we have a separate instance from China, which we're operating together with Tencent. It's like a Chinese Google. And it's all pairing together, so we're really building an internet. There's no roaming. And the funny thing is without like any technical configuration, Juan was making his sensors work and he connected this gateway, but at the same time I was connecting my gateway here. Actually, without us like having any agreement, this gateway works on the same network as this gateway, and even if he would have put this one off, then his sensors that he just showed would still be working. So it's all pairing, it's a real internet, no borders, no like operators build networks. And this is how we do this, and we have a distributed system of different instances across the different data centers, and they're pairing their data. We built a new piece of software that we launched at our conference in Amsterdam just now, and that's going to open up even more possibilities. So we have with the Things Industries, which is our company, we help enterprises to build their networks with the SLA and with some added security and added guarantees. And what we now also will allow is to have pairing across public and private networks through the backend. And this has all kinds of advantages, because when you run your private network, you can do your own key management, and then you can assure, for instance, complete end-to-end encryption, either for yourself as a company or as an integrator to somebody else. So this is basically where we're focusing on with the Things Industries. If you want to know more about it, then have a look at our YouTube. We have a lot of content on there that talks more about this. And I really like that you said Sevilla was not built alone. And I mean, that's also definitely true and will be true for the Internet of Things. As Juan explained, there's a huge scope of sensors, networks, applications, dashboards, and you have to partner, you have to do where you're good at and to build it together. And yeah, I think it's very interesting. There's now 3 gateways, now 4 probably, in Sevilla. And if you look, for instance, at cities like Zurich or Sydney, there's like 50, sometimes 100 gateways, and this redundancy is then eventually creating a very, very solid network. So, yeah, that was it for me. If you want to know more information, just look me up on LinkedIn if you have some ideas, or yeah, there's a ton of information on the thingsnetwork.org, and a lot of content on our YouTube channel with all the content of the conferences. So that was it for me. Thank you very much for your attention. Do you want to do questions or?
Exactly. So, ¿algunas preguntas? Tanto para Juanma, para mí, para Wienke. ¿O vamos a hacer eso? Por aquí.
A ver, primero, no me ha quedado claro la velocidad de transferencia.
Juanma, sube. Espera, para ti.